Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Nick and Nolan Experience Sports Talk Show. We have a lot to talk about today, from the last two episodes of The Last Dance to last weekend's UFC event, more recent UFC news, some NBA news, updates on when we might see some sports return, and we'll finish up with our predictions for some of the fights that have been announced for upcoming cards. So let's start with the last two episodes of The Last Dance from last weekend.
I want to give a first shout out to Jerry Sloan. He passed away today with Parkinson's disease, and he had some form of dementia as well. And I mean, he was the head coach of the Utah Jazz, who we saw in this previous episodes of The Last Dance, and just want to think about his family and friends and players he's coached, and just they're all in my prayers. Jerry Sloan was probably, I think he was a top five winningest coach of all time. Had like 1,221 wins. So he's a great coach, but I just want to think about his family and friends and players he's coached. And let's go back to The Last Dance. Those two episodes were, I enjoyed them. I enjoyed looking at the battles between the Jazz and the Bulls, and honestly, I think the Jazz would have won maybe one of those finals, or maybe both, if they weren't facing Michael Jordan and the Bulls. Like, you had John Stockton and you had the Mailman. Two players who are probably, in my opinion, those two players are one of those like greats who never won a ring. Like, they're in my top five of like greats who never won a ring. I don't know, those two battles, like the two finals with the Bulls and the Jazz. Honestly, man, if Michael didn't hit those hit that game, the winning shot in Game 6, I really truly believe they would have won the Jazz could have won that series, in my opinion. What about you?
Yeah, they were like the last two episodes were just crazy. But yeah, those series were close. It was like you said, it was if Michael wasn't on the team, it would have been a different story. We saw it multiple times when Michael either wasn't at his best or when he wasn't playing. They weren't really the same team. They were still good when Scotty and Dennis were out there, and Steve Kerr, all those guys were out there. But it's different when Michael's there. It adds just another element to the game that it's just especially when he flips that switch that where, like you said, like where it becomes personal, it just becomes a whole different thing, and he turns on just something that's you just can't really defend it.
Yeah. Um that final shot, man, it's so iconic. When pushes off the player and hits that final shot.
That was weird
And
though. That like that put like everyone's saying like he pushed or whatever. You can see it. Like he even
oh
talks
yeah,
about
his
it.
momentum was going.
Yeah,
Like
his hand didn't really do anything. It was just there.
yeah, it's kind of more like he guided him. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I
Uh,
forget like the analogy that they used, but yeah, it wasn't it didn't have anything to do.
oh
He crossed him
yeah.
pretty good. He was going that way.
Um,
He was going that way either way.
what did you think about the flu game
That
that
was
happened?
interesting. I never knew that it was the pizza thing. I never really looked that far into it, but that whole
Yeah.
pizza thing was weird. It was like that's one of the most famous games like in his career, and it wasn't even what everyone has thought it was like all these years.
I thought. I mean, he dropped what 42 points. I mean, with food poisoning, the flu.
Yeah.
It, oh, you can just tell by like when he went to Scotty and Scotty was like holding him, basically carrying him off the court. You can just tell his body was done. Like I mean, dropped 42 points.
Yeah, that took everything he had to pull that out. There was something else in him just pushing through and kind of you know, just making him have the same game as if he wasn't even sick in the first place, really.
It was insane, man. And Scott, they almost didn't win Game 6 because Scotty's back. He had a back injury, and just having him on the floor, like they would bring him into the locker room, maybe inject him with some stuff, give him some ibuprofen or whatever, and literally it would just every 5-10 minutes they would take Scotty back and just do work with him, and then just like he was basically a guinea pig. I mean, he still scored, but he was
Yeah,
just
he was. They just used him as a decoy. That's
yeah.
another one where he was going through something and just pushed through it, and it ended up being a great game. Like just like when with Michael and the food poisoning, he just pushed through it, the back injury, and just kept going.
What do you think about Jordan at the end of the documentary saying could have maybe signed a 1-year deal or maybe
Yeah,
get
I mean, at that point, who knows? Like he could say that now, but at that point, with how everything was with Phil and with Jerry and the rest of the team, who knows what they really all would have done?
I
Like,
I I truly don't think well I don't think Scotty would have came back just because his issues with
yeah,
Jerry Krause, and with the whole thing with Phil Jackson, like I know Reinsdorf was trying to get Phil back, and I mean that would have just kind of made Jerry look bad in general. I mean it already made him look bad, but like you gotta trust your GM, and the whole thing with Phil Jackson and Jerry Krause, it was pretty much like yeah, you could have gone 82-0, and we still wouldn't bring you back. It's kind of like telling like a car salesman, hey, you can sell the most cars, but by the end of the year, we're getting rid of you. You know what I mean?
yeah. It was a good way to go out. You don't want to risk it and go for a seventh and then come up short, and then everyone doesn't want to play anymore, and you go out on that. Going out on top is one of the best teams ever. That's you couldn't really go out any better way. You got 6 rings. That's you don't want to fail going for a seventh and then have that be the end.
Well, exactly. And with Scotty, I think he would have been like, I already got 6 rings. I want to get paid.
Yeah, it's another
And
thing too. Like the money comes into play too. You don't want to, it's cool to win, but when guys care about money that much, like and like as underpaid as they were, you know, it comes into
and
play like that.
I I honestly think maybe Steve Kerr would have signed a 1-year deal, and I don't know what they would have done with Rodman because Rodman was a loose cannon, as you can tell. He literally left left like he skipped practice mid in 1997 finals. Like I think maybe I don't even remember what game it was, but he went to WCW and joined NWO and was hanging out with Hulk Hogan and those boys. And yeah, as a coach, I don't know how I would feel if a player did that. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, Phil Jackson said, "Oh, that's okay. Rodman's being Rodman." You know, that's how I took it. And I don't know. You're in the NBA Finals right now, and you're just deciding, "Oh, I was gonna go and hang out with Hulk Hogan and WCW and like not be focused for the game." You know what I mean?
Yeah, like
The
you said
series.
though, he's gotta have his time where he goes out and does what he wants, and it's just how he is. It's
Yeah.
every interview or anything you see with him. It's just how he is. He's got to do his own thing.
Well, and then I don't think the Bulls would have like even if they did bring at least Jordan back and maybe Steve Kerr and maybe Rodman, I still don't think they would have won against the Spurs, man. You had a young Tim Duncan, you had David Robinson. I mean, you put Rodman on Tim Duncan, okay, so that leaves David Robinson. And they both averaged like 21 points that year, and then the 2000, and if you say like, I think Jordan said he may would have won 1 or 2 more rings, and then in 2000 you had Phil Jackson was at the Lakers with a young Kobe Bryant and Shaquille O'Neal, and they three-peated from 2000 to 2002. So I
Yeah,
don't know.
you never
I
know.
just don't, I just don't see I don't see it. And with with the Bulls, they put in Tim Floyd, who was from Iowa State. For some reason, the Bulls have something for Iowa State coaches, because Fred Hoiberg was from Iowa State as well. I mean, they were like the worst team in the East that year. But I mean, you did lose everyone. So
Yeah, like we said though, it was a good time to go out, and that's how you want to go out. Pretty much every sport, if you can go out, like even with UFC, like GSP was really the only one that was able to, you know.
yeah. And you got what, Peyton Manning coming out with the Broncos winning the Super
Yeah,
Bowl, even though his arm was dead that year.
yeah, it's
Ray
just there's
Ray Lewis.
very few that can do it. Father Time catches up to everyone. Kind of just, but yeah, it's been more in the NFL. Like you said, Ray Lewis, like Peyton Manning, they all got it, but it's tough. There's not many that can go out on top like that.
Did you see they're gonna drop a Tom Brady documentary next year? I think nine episode series.
Yeah, there's a bunch. Like I mean, that would be interesting to see, but there's a bunch of people. Then I think McMagic said he wants to have one. There's a bunch of people that want to have them now.
And the Lance Armstrong documentary is coming this Sunday, and then they have Bruce Lee.
Yeah, 30 for 30. That's going to be good. I can't wait for that one.
Both of them are going to be good. I'm kind of glad ESPN's doing this, like little documentaries and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's nice. It gives us something to do when there's no sports going on. I know the NBA is talking about trying. I think what Disney is trying to do it. They were looking at like Toronto at some point, but and then the MLB is trying to go. I think they're going to go like early July. I think the NBA said what, like mid-July, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then NFL, I just got a notification a little bit ago that at least the Steelers they're selling half of their individual tickets, like preparing for social distancing when the season starts.
Man, it's gonna be weird this year seeing sports without fans, because that's the main thing, man. Especially for home, like if you're an away team and you got nobody in the fans, it's even matchup.
Even Aaron Donald said it too. He's like, that's kind of the excitement and what gets you going, like in a game, like having the fans there. If it's just
The
quiet,
home field advantage.
yeah, it's weird if you got, it's just neutral. There's no noise, nothing to get you excited. It can play a role on like the mental factor, like we were seeing go into last weekend's card on the UFC and the ones before. It's it gets to you. There's not that noise to get you excited and get you going. Like imagine like with Tony and Gaethje, like that would have been crazy if fans were there and the outcome could have been changed.
Did you see those that Korean soccer team that got fined because they had blow up sex dolls in as fans?
Yeah, that kind of seemed like a joke that just got kind of too serious, and they realized like, oh yeah, we can't do that now.
Well, they claimed they was mannequins.
It was funny though. Like I'm not gonna lie,
They got like
like, yeah, you can get offended, whatever. That's not, I guess, like appropriate, but come on, like it's funny. They weren't doing anything. They didn't have anything like,
Mm-hmm.
It's a joke.
What do you think about NASCAR came back last weekend too?
Yeah, I didn't watch it, but it's good to see sports starting to come back. And UFC is kind of the thing that's been showing like, hey, we can do this. Like just,
You gotta just test everybody, every player.
You just keep it safe, and it can be done. UFC's going back to the Apex next weekend. I cannot wait for that.
Staying on topic with the documentaries, what do you think? Like, what documentary would you love to see if you could just say, "Hey, let's have this documentary on this"? If you were choosing,
obviously I'm more into like MMA stuff, so I want to see like that kind of career thing, like we saw with The Last Dance. Like I'd want to see it on like the greats, like see Anderson Silva coming up, or
Mhm.
see like GSP coming up, or John Jones, for example, or watch, like Brock Lesnar through his like college years and his NFL years and stuff like that. Like just kind of how those guys came up and how long they've been going. Even I saw a video today of Bisping when he was like 15 or 16, like front kicking a older, like a grown dude, like across a mat in a fight that they were doing. He was like 15 or 16 years old, and the guy, like, they bowed, and then the guy went to shake his hand, and Bisping front kicked him across the mat, like, because that's kind of just like you bow and then that's it. That's the
Mhm.
fight. You don't have to shake hands. But yeah, it would be cool to see stuff like that. Like the Bruce Lee one that's coming out is going to be cool. But yeah, I'd like to see kind of like fighters like from the early on to kind of show like, because we're going to see people in the next 5-10 years that are going to be like becoming experts in mixed martial arts. Like you see one-dimensional guys now, like, oh, he's a black belt in jiu-jitsu, or he's been a kickboxer his whole life, or he's doing judo like Ronda. But you're going to see guys coming up that have been doing mixed martial arts their whole life, and you're going to think, oh, this guy would have smoked John Jones back in the day, like stuff like that,
Mhm.
because they're just going to be going through that their whole life, not like being like Ronda and being in judo since she was a little kid.
Um, for me, I would obviously, I would love to see the 2011 Dallas Mavericks. I'm a Mavericks fan. I love to see because they they beat a young OKC team who had Russell Westbrook, James Harden, Kevin Durant. Grant they were young. They also beat they first beat the Blazers, and then they played the Lakers and they swept Kobe Bryant and the Lakers, who won the previous year, and JJ Barea pretty much won that. Like he was the leading catalyst for that team because so he got fouled heavily by Andrew Bynum, and Bynum was coming up as one of the best centers in the league in that time, and Barea got fouled heavily, and Bynum got suspended for the next game, and that led to the Mavs sweeping, and they beat OKC, and they played against the Big Three, and they beat them, and it was Dirk Nowitzki and a bunch of old guys beat a coming into his prime LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh. So I'd love to see that. Maybe this 72 Dolphins being the only undefeated team to ever win the Super Bowl. Um, what else? There's so many things. Like honestly, I'm kind of excited for this Tom Brady documentary. I mean, Brady killed my Dolphins for so many years now. So I mean, I think it would be interesting because he is the GOAT, but he's also one of the most hated NFL players right now still. You know what I mean? So and he was back then too.
It's kind of just
So,
that winning thing. You just get sick of people winning. Like when people were getting tired of the Warriors and people were getting
oh, I
sick of,
love the Warriors doc.
yeah, people were getting sick of seeing like the Warriors win. People were getting sick of like Anderson Silva beating everyone. Like at a certain point, like where he was just pretty much just walking around because he was fighting
Mm.
Brazilian guys and he didn't want to. Like that was just like, and then we finally got relief when Chael Sonnen beat him for like 24 minutes, and then he got triangled, and it's like, ah, yeah, he's still the best.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just that winning thing. Like it's cool though. I hope they show like through his college years and like how bad the combine was, and people just thought like, yeah, this guy's gonna be nothing, and then now he's probably like it's the least argument I think, but he's the best quarterback that's ever played. It's like him, Montana, Manning, stuff like that. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. If they were going to do any documentary about anyone in football, Brady's the one to do it.
I consider him as the Michael Jordan of football, man.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd go that far.
I mean, yeah. I don't
it's
know.
kind of the same level like of championships and stuff like that, but like to the point where nobody else really matters on the team, like other than obviously he's got Scotty and all them, but like to the point where the Bulls were so bad and then they got Jordan and it was like, oh wait a second, like they're good. Like
Mhm.
Brady had a few years when he had no receivers and it was like, yeah, they can't, you know. Then again when he hurt, like when he had that injury that year and they just totally bombed, that was another thing, like with Jordan. But yeah,
Well,
there's
there's always
definitely
the
like just
thing with
certain
Jordan.
players like that.
The thing with Jordan is he was what 1-9 before Pippen.
What's that?
The thing with Jordan is he people always say, oh, he was 1-9 when 1-9 in the playoffs before Scottie Pippen came along.
Yeah, it's the same thing like with Brady before he had Gronk, before he had Edelman, and like he had Moss and stuff like that. Like then obviously they were great, and he had like Deion Branch and all the
Hmm.
great running backs that they had and the good defenses that they had. You need like support for it,
Feel bad for Drew Bledsoe, man.
right? It just happens though. Like when you get injured like that, it's we've seen it how many times. Like with the Alex Smith documentary that came out, he got hurt, and then Kaepernick came in, and they traded
And
him
the
to the
Niners went to the
Chiefs,
Super
and
Bowl,
yeah,
or the Niners went to the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? So
yeah, it's just those weird injury things that kind of just propel someone. I thought it should have happened with the Bears a few years ago when Cutler broke his thumb or whatever he did, and then Josh McCown came in and started doing work, and they still let Cutler play. It's like, yeah, but he's doing better though. So,
mm.
but I don't know. I haven't understood the Bears organization for a long time.
I saw the Bear like they had the Bears being 3-13 this year,
Yeah,
than
we
prediction.
I've seen mixed things about how it's going to go. Like if Foles starts versus if Mitch starts, like how their records are going to go, and then like injuries and stuff.
I, I don't know. I truly believe that I don't think Mitch fits with Nagy's like offensive style.
Yeah, they declined his option, so hopefully
Watch
there's.
he goes to like the Patriots and becomes the next thing, and then I
I
just
I hope not. I don't think Belichick stays around for very much longer, especially if they don't do good.
well if they get Trevor Lawrence next year, it's a whole different ball
Well,
game.
yeah, that's different. And then we just got to see how the season plays out because if they don't have the number one pick, they're not getting in, or at
Yeah,
least unless somebody pops out that's just ridiculously good and has to go before Trevor. Like everyone thought Tua was going to be the number one pick last year, and then Joe Burrow came in and said, "What's up?" But like,
bro had probably the best college season you can ever have.
yeah, and then Chase Young shows out, and Tua was still up there, obviously, but
I think Tua, if Tua was healthy and didn't get hurt, I think it would have been, you know what I
it,
mean? I think it
it
would have
would have
been
been
different.
it would have been more of a like is like who are the Bengals going to pick? But I
Yeah,
with how it happened, Joe was obviously like everyone knew like okay, Joe's going to go first, Chase is going to go second, and then Tua will probably go. Like
to
it's
my like fall to Miami or the Chargers.
yeah, because there's not like
Um,
Herbert was up there, but
did you see the new thing with the Rooney Rule that the NFL is doing?
yeah, I haven't liked that since it came out. Like that
Like
they were gonna do it. Like
an
it's like come on,
additional third round pick if you have a
like a minority coach or like
yeah,
somebody on
and a
your
G
staff.
or a GM. I
Yeah,
saw that and I was just like, what? Like,
yeah. It's kind of a I don't know. I don't. It was kind of just dumb, and I didn't really even care to look into it because it's I don't know. And I didn't really want to get into it that much because it's just a weird subject, and
hmm
it's just those people that get like we were talking about, like it's the people that get offended and oh, there's no minority coaches. But they have to at least like interview one or two of them or whatever.
yeah, you interview one. But like, look at Miami. Like our GM is African American, and so is our head coach. So what do we get then for that? Do we get do we get an additional third round?
Well, no, it was already there before, so you don't get anything. But now,
Like what? Or Tomlin with your Steelers?
yep. Yeah, I don't. Like if this is the coaching thing now, it's going to be players before we know it, and then it's you're going to have. It's just I don't know. The world's so weird, and then it's weird as it is with everything going on now, and now it has to be. You have to have a minority person on your staff, or like you get like a big incentive to have a minority person on your staff. It's just I don't know.
Well, I think honestly, I think maybe 25 teams. If Mike Tomlin got fired, I believe 25 teams would go after Mike Tomlin. Is it because he's a minority coach? No, it's because he's a damn good coach.
Yeah, he's especially like with Ben coming back now. This year is going to be very interesting for the Steelers.
I just hope they stay healthy. Like he stays healthy.
Yeah, if he doesn't, then it's going to be another tough one. But
what did you guys go 8-8 last year with Duck Hodges? Like
Hodges and Rudolph, yeah.
That's good coaching.
They also had one of the best defenses in the league, though.
Oh, I know, but you rarely see third string quarterbacks making at least some kind of impact. And you also had like you had Juju, kind of like he was basically become the new number one, and who else? You guys also have your running back. Can't think of his name.
James Conner.
Yeah, he's on and off with me, man. There's some games he'll have a great game, and there's like other times you're like, oh man, James Conner only rushed for like 27 yards.
Yeah, he's got injuries that he's been dealing with, and the O-line and who they're playing.
Yeah.
It's a big, especially with a third string quarterback. Like they're not going to have him throw that much, and then you have James Conner in the backfield. So defensive coordinators are like, yeah, that's who we have to look at. Like, because you're not going to have Duck Hodges throwing, like a go route to Juju. You're not going to have that when he's got the best corner on whatever team. Like, say they play the 49ers, you're not going to have Duck Hodges throw a go route to Juju when they have Richard Sherman on him. Like, it's just not going to happen.
Yeah. I don't know. I give props to Mike Tomlin. I mean,
he made it work.
Made it work. You guys almost made the playoffs last year.
Yeah, it was the first or second season that they haven't made it, I think. Like with him.
You just gotta have Big Ben healthy. Did you guys draft a quarterback this year?
No, they drafted I forget his name. I forget what his name is, but no, they didn't. Because they'll still have Rudolph. I don't know. I don't know if Hodges will stick around. Landry Jones he was in like the XFL, wasn't he?
Yeah. But who knows, man? I heard Miami's they're getting calls for Rosen, so.
I do not want Josh Rosen. I would have anyone but Josh Rosen. Please don't.
I don't think he's bad, man. He just doesn't get the feed.
Cam Newton is still out there. They still have I think Joe Flacco's still out there. There's options.
Yeah, Joe Flacco's like 37?
Yeah, but I mean, Joe Flacco versus Josh Rosen in a throwing competition, I will bet all of my money on Joe Flacco. It's just I don't know. They'll be fine. If Ben stays healthy, he's got a few years, and then they can go from there. There's going to be more quarterbacks that come up, and there's going to be other opportunities. Who knows how long Teddy's going to stay in Carolina? Who knows how long Breeze is going to stay in New Orleans if Taysom goes somewhere else? I saw somebody saying Taysom Hill is like I forget what they said, like a white Lamar Jackson or something like that. I was like, stop it right now.
No, oh, no.
I was like, yeah, no, don't say that. But but
Lamar
yeah,
Jackson.
that's another level. There's
There's no way Taysom Hill is an MVP type quarterback, and
he's a good player, but he's not Lamar Jackson.
there's a reason why New Orleans brought in Jameis Winston. So if Breeze does go down,
That's another thing. I didn't even think about it. Yeah, Jameis he's only there for what? He got a year contract, I think.
and I mean, this might be me being Florida State biased, but Jameis could, if you took half his interceptions away last season, could have been candidate for an MVP. I'm not saying he's going to be the MVP, but he could have been a candidate. He led the league in passing yards. I think he was like second or third with touchdowns. I mean, he's a good quarterback. He just makes stupid mistakes. He does not care. He said he's going to launch this ball down the field, and he's going to go, if Corn gets it. If Mike Evans decides to get it, Mike Evans is going to get it. So we'll play this 50-50 game.
Yeah,
That's how Jameis is. So learning underneath Drew Brees, I think it's smart. And if the Saints if they maybe clinch the playoffs early, then I can also see them keep Brees on the bench, keep him healthy for the playoffs, and maybe give Jameis a few, like 2 or 3 games. You know what I mean? If they clinch their spot in the playoffs next year, which I assume they will.
Yeah, they'll let Jameis go. They'll play Taysom a lot, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's gonna be interesting with how all that's gonna go. And just the backups are gonna be interesting because all the big like huge name quarterbacks are getting old. Rodgers is getting up there. Brady's getting up there. Ben.
Rivers.
Yeah, Rivers is almost done. There's a lot.
Did you see Dak's new they offered Dak what, 45?
Like
No, 35 million.
135, something like that.
It was like 35 million a year or something.
Yeah, it was like I forget how many. It was some ridiculous amount of like years and
like
money contract.
4-year 35, I think.
I forget what it was. It was some outrageous number, and he still turned it down. I was like, you know what? Just stop it.
But dude better have an MVP season this year, and we'll be like, all right, Dak maybe deserves a $40 million contract.
Yeah, it's gonna take a lot though, especially with Jerry Jones, like with how he's being with the whole situation.
I don't blame him. That's what he brought in Andy Dalton for. If Dak decides to sit out, Andy Dalton's not a bad quarterback.
He's not terrible, and they got Amari Cooper, and
they just got CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah, and they got CeeDee, and they got Zeke in the backfield.
Probably the best running back in the league is Ezekiel Elliott.
Yeah.
And offensive line's great. Always has been. So, I mean, if Dak decides to sit out, Andy Dalton didn't have a bad season at the end of last season. Yeah, the Bengals were tanking, or they were losing games. But Andy Dalton was throwing up some pretty solid numbers at the end of the season. I honestly thought he was going to go to New England. To be honest with you, I thought he fit well with New England. And Cowboys decided, hey, let's jump on Andy Dalton. I wasn't mad about it. I thought it was a good pickup for him.
Yeah, it wasn't a bad idea. It's, it could end up being a good thing for him. And then there's still plenty of other backups, like for New England. They still got options. I don't know how good that Stidham kid is going to be, but
if he doesn't fit, they're going to possibly tank for Trevor Lawrence this year.
Yeah, they could. Cam Newton's still out there. They got Flacco, like we were talking about, and I know there's more that I'm not thinking of right now, but I know there's some more out there. And then they could obviously trade too. There's
they also
plenty
got
of
Brian
backups.
Hoyer.
Yeah, Hoyer too, but he's not the greatest, but he'll be especially if they want Trevor Lawrence. He's something. But yeah, they got Hoyer, and then who knows? Maybe Josh McCown shows up on another team. I'm like, you never know,
Sanchez comes out of retirement.
right? And Tebow, there's plenty of options. I'm sure Tebow wouldn't mind
Yeah, probably wouldn't mind getting paid.
if the Mets aren't going to call him up.
Man, UFC fights, man. What'd you think about them?
Let's start at the bottom. I looked up Fajeda at the end, and I saw that he had like 5 or 6 submissions out of like 7 fights, and I was like, yeah, he's gonna tap this dude. And then he
Yeah.
goes in within a few a few minutes and subs the guy. I was like, yeah, that's like that. Mize dude is no joke though. He was throwing hard, but when you have that good of a submission game, it's a whole nother game. If you don't know what you're doing on the ground.
Do you think Maya's gassed out a little bit?
I mean, with how hard they were throwing, and with like they're the first fight, it's possible. Like he just wants to show like, hey, like I deserve better than to be on the first fight. Like I'm gonna knock this dude out. Like when everyone thinks he's gonna win, but now he gassed himself and got submitted, so it just hurts him more.
Mm-hmm.
Courtney Casey showed up too. That was impressive after such a long time off.
What do you think about that armbar?
It was great. I saw it coming, like right when she started like shifting her hips and like setting it up. I was like, oh, this like she's going for it.
I honestly thought Barella hurt her arm, man, because it like just kind of bent awkward. I mean, she didn't snap it, but
no, I think I said it. I was like, oh, if she doesn't tap to this, like we got another like GSP Dan Hardy situation.
Yeah.
But yeah, that Barella, she was good though. She was like an up and comer. Like I think she might have been the favorite. I want to say like slight, but that was it was a good fight though. And of course Courtney Casey, that helps her a lot, especially after such a long time off. She's going to get somebody big next.
Darren Elkins, and
that was a close one. Nate, wow, his personality is something. That was probably the most awkward octagon interview I've ever seen, other than a few. Like I think Paul Buentello had a bad one. There was a few that have been awkward, but that was weird. Like trying to get really hyped up, and there was nobody in the crowd.
Yeah,
that was a good fight, but Darren Elkins just, oh my god,
face bloody.
There's a certain point where you're just like, all right, think about the rest of your life. Like, do you want to like? He's a great fighter, and he's in great fights every time he comes out, but like that happens every single time he fights. He gets cut up really bad. He gets hit a lot. You got to start thinking. And he's on, 3 or 4 fight losing streak, I think. You got to start thinking, like, it's coming. If it's not over, it's coming.
Do you think Nate, is it Landwehr? I can't say his last name.
Landwehr, something like that.
Do you think he has maybe potential to be something in that featherweight division?
I don't think so. Not really. I mean, he might have a decent fight against somebody in like between top 15, like, and down to maybe, I don't know. I don't have the rankings in front of me, but I don't think he beats anyone in the top 10. But who knows if he gets, if he improves a lot, you never know. We've seen guys like that have just come out of nowhere. Like you don't think they're going to be that good, and then out of nowhere they're just wrecking dudes.
Mm-hmm.
And we had Giga Chikadze. That was a closer fight than I thought it was going to be. But towards the end, Chikadze just took over.
He did, but wasn't it Erwin Rivera who he was fighting?
Yeah, Erwin Rivera. He was good. The size difference was strange.
The first round, he was throwing, man. He was really throwing.
He was swinging, but Yeah, Giga, like especially in a striking fight, I think he said it after. He said like, "Give me a strike, like any striker in the division." It's like, well, yeah, but as soon as you fight a ground fighter, it's over. Like,
And Rivera, took that fight day or two before.
yeah, really short notice he took it, and he didn't do bad.
I think he deserves another shot in the UFC
Oh yeah, for sure.
with a full camp. He looked really good without a full camp, man.
Especially against as experienced of a striker as Chikadze is.
Mm-hmm.
That was he didn't do bad, but yeah, for Chikadze to say like, yeah, I'll take any striker in the division, it's like, well, yeah, but like if you fight a guy that knows mixed martial arts or a guy that knows something on the ground, it's over. Like you're a straight up striker.
Kevin Holland and Anthony Hernandez.
Oh, I expected that to go longer than it did, but I'm glad it didn't. Holland is a monster. And then he goes,
Calling out Mickey Gall.
Mickey Gall, what's up? It was awesome. And I wanted him to fight Vettori, but Vettori and Robertson got rebooked.
I mean, I agree with that. I think they should.
Yeah, they got rebooked for, I want to say it's next weekend, maybe the one after. But yeah, Holland is a monster. Anthony should definitely get another shot. Like Holland said, he knew that he was cutting weight and, he had all that stuff going on. So he knew right when he went to the body, it was going to hurt, and it did. It does look good.
Didn't Holland, because Holland weighed in, 183?
180, I think like 182 and a half or something like that for a 185 fight.
So does he walk around with that weight?
I think he said he came in to the week at like 190 or 187 or something like that. But he said like he would fight Mickey at 170. So I don't like, and if you like what he said, I usually get choked out. So if that's what you're trying to do, let's run it. It's like that's Holland versus Mickey Gall could be interesting. I think Holland should keep going with higher up in the ranks because Mickey's not, when he beat CM Punk and like Mike Jackson, it was like, oh, this kid's good. But then you see him fight better competition. It's like, oh, yeah, he's just young still.
Did he beat Northcutt too?
Yeah, but Sage Northcutt was another one. It was like, come on. The kid's, he was, 21 when he came in?
Yeah.
And they had him fight just absolute nobodies, like to try to blow him up. And then he went to, Ryzen, I think he went to. And then they had him fight, I can't think of the guy's name right now, but they had him fight an absolute legend in MMA, and he like broke Sage's skull. It was like, yeah, that's just not how you do things. And then Matt Brown, Miguel Baeza, wow, that was a good fight. Matt did better. Like I had him winning by decision because I thought that was a big step up in competition for Baeza, but he had Baeza hurt too. But
yeah, he did.
Baeza's so good, and it was just like the physique on Baeza. It just looked like it was just two different fighters. You could see it was like old school versus new school.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Baeza looked good, and then Matt just I hate like he falls the same way every time. And I hate it. Like when Cerrone head kicked him, like and his arms go up in the air and he falls down, it's like, Matt, come on. But
I thought Baeza was pretty humble with his.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like how he said, like he's like wanted to check, like is that really Matt Brown, like the one?
Yeah, I respected that. I was like, I respect that, man.
Yeah, I can't wait to see where he goes. If he, if he sharpens up his game, he could be a problem pretty soon.
Mm-hmm. Dong and Oliveira.
That was the first kind of controversial one. I could definitely see it going to Vera for sure, but with how the judging went that whole week, it's not surprising that Song won.
I thought Vera was kind of childish, especially with his tweet. Did you see the tweet that he posted?
Yeah, it was. You
I
can't,
was like, all right, buddy, you kind of took it a little farther.
like I was telling you though, like if there was ever a time for the saying, "Don't leave it in the hands of the judges," this is it. You saw it how many times that the judges were bad, and it's
I'm
gotta
still mad about Cowboy, man.
Yeah, that was I don't know. That's another thing though. It's I mean it was the first card, so we didn't really know that much. But you got to think we're in Florida. The judges aren't that experienced. Like you would think, Chris Lee, Sal Diamato, stuff like that. You would think they're gonna get it because they're big names in judging, but you never know. Um,
I'm so
Eric
mad.
Eric Anders, Christoph Jocko. That was another one that like Jocko won, but I mean, come on. Like for him to say, "Oh, this guy just wants to cuddle. This guy just wants to hold my legs." It's like, well, learn how to get him off of you, and then you won't have to do that.
Hmm.
Like you won't have to complain about it. If you can get him off, there's ways to get him off. Like, yeah, Anders is a big dude, but you're not fighting him at his biggest weight, and you're supposed to be this big dude like that you're saying you are. Like, so show it.
Hmm. I couldn't believe Andrews was a middleweight, man. I
He goes
he,
back and forth. He goes to middle and 205. I think he looks better at 205 just because he's more comfortable and he
mhm.
doesn't have to cut 20 something pounds to get down there. But I mean, he's a big dude at 185 though. So like, if he can make it and if he sharpens up his game and all that, like he could be something. But when he loses to guys like Jocko and then it brings him back and I don't know. He's another one it's exciting sometimes, and it depends on which version of him shows up.
Mhm. Danny Gay and Edson Barboza.
I thought Barboza won that fight.
I agree.
I mean, that's another one. Don't leave it in the hands of the judges. And then Ige wants like the top guys in the division. It's like you're not gonna beat them. Like he wants,
4 of the 5 fights went to decisions in the main card for.
yeah, but like Ige wants Cater, he wants Stevens, he
Yeah,
wants
I was
Yair. It's like no, you don't. Like,
like,
let
he knocked Stevens out clean, dude. And
hit up Bryce Mitchell. See how that goes for you.
like, I would actually would not mind that fight.
They've been going back and forth for Twitter for a long time. I want to see that fight so bad, and it'll be big for Mitchell too if he wins. He gets ranked if he wins.
Hmm.
I don't think Rosa was ranked. I don't think he was really close to being ranked. But if Mitchell beat Ige, that's huge. Then Gedalia and Hill was another one that just went off on Twitter about like, oh, I won that fight, book me again. It's like you gotta. It's Claudia Gedalia. She's fought for the title how many times, and she's a big deal. And it wasn't that obvious that Hill won the fight. It could have won. It could have went to Hill easily,
Hmm.
but Gedalia did a lot. I thought she did enough, like to make it not that shocking that she won.
Well, I thought Hill won the second round for sure.
Yeah, I don't know. It's the weird. I think one of them gave it 30-27 to Gedalia. It's like I don't know about that.
Yeah, like you said, don't leave it in the hands of the judges.
Yeah, you can't, especially in those situations with these inexperienced like commissions and stuff. Now they're in Vegas, so it's going to be better. But we've seen Vegas be bad too, especially back in the day when the whole commission was just god awful. But and then Walt Harris just oh my god, I hated that.
Overeem, Overeem, like I'm glad he wasn't like cheering. He literally once he won, he literally just like was hugging Walt and
Well, yeah, because he's been there
told him to
before. He's
trade
been
with him.
fighting for. He said he'll finish when he's been fighting for 25 years. That's crazy, and especially with everything that's been going on with Walt, it's
Do you think
there's a
we see
good.
Walt again this year?
I wouldn't mind it. I think he didn't get torn up badly. He just didn't really. It was
You
kind
can
of
tell
just
he didn't focus on any ground game.
yeah. I don't think he was really all there mentally. Like I think that was kind of still in the back of his mind. And then he was kind of trying to psych himself up when he got in there, but you
He
can't.
tagged him. He
Yeah,
tagged him.
he had Mergliotta could have stopped that easily, but Mergliotta's he's so much of like a veteran, so experienced. Like we saw it with like Chet Congo and Pat Barry. That fight could have been stopped how many times, and Mergliotta let it go, and then Pat Barry ends up going to sleep. Like it's just he's a good ref. He let it go, and then ended up going the other way. It's happened a bunch of times with Mergliotta in there, and
I mean, if Mergliotta wasn't reffing, do you think a ref could have stopped that?
oh, absolutely. If they were in, I forget where that fight was originally supposed to happen, but I don't think it was. I don't think it was supposed to be in Vegas. But if it was somewhere in like those local refs that are only certified, like in that state or in that country, whatever, were in there, or even like one of the guys, say Herzog was in there, or Keith Peterson was in there, and you get a heavyweight hitting that hard, like you kind of think like, yeah, it's done. Like that's you don't want to see guys, especially when Overeem's face blows up like it did, like his lip busted. He got that huge cut on his eye. It's like,
Well, you could still see the scar on his lip when he was walking.
yeah, I think I texted you. I was like, yeah, that's gonna open like pretty quick. And
It was
did.
super noticeable.
Yeah, it didn't open completely like it did against Rosenstrike, but I think he said if he fights Rosenstrike again, he's gonna finish him. I was like, eh.
I mean, I would love to see I've never really hated Overeem at all. I've always kind of respected him. I mean, he's been
Legend for sure.
everything. And I would not mind seeing him go after the title one more time.
Yeah, I don't. The whole Stipe thing is so just. Ugh, I'm sick of it.
Yeah.
You got Francis just back there, just like, come on, he's wrecking people. Like, don't let this become a thing, like where he's just scary. So you don't want to. I get it because he just puts people to sleep with one touch, but like he's destroying people. Like you gotta let it have, like with nobody wanting to fight like Zabit or no one wanting to fight like Ryan Hall because you know they're most likely going to beat you if they can implement their game. Like it's kind of just like, come on. And then Miocic came out and said like, stop crying. Like
I saw that on Twitter. They
stuff.
actually.
I was like, well then fight, dude. Like there's plenty of places to train. I know you're a fighter and everything, but like you're the heavyweight champion of the UFC. Like come on now.
I saw recently, like, is Cejudo retiring, or he's like, what's going on with that situation?
I saw something that he wants to fight like in the summer. I think I didn't really believe the whole thing. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me, I guess, if he stayed retired. But I think if the UFC paid him a little more and gave him an exciting fight, you know, he might, like if they give him Aldo or if they give him, you know, whoever, I think he'll come back.
I think he fights Jan.
Peter Young.
Yeah.
Yeah, he could. I mean, he's kind of chasing the lower guys though.
Yeah, I mean, eventually, I should say, eventually.
That could be why Sandhagen got the Sterling fight though.
Yeah, that's true.
They could be doing Jan versus Cejudo, because it was going to be Sterling versus Jan for the title if Cejudo retired.
Mm-hmm.
But if they do Sterling Sandhagen and Cejudo Jan, and then the winners fight each other, that very well could be what it is.
And the whole Jones controversy, what's going on with that?
It's Jones he's not understanding what's going on. He wants all this money to fight Ngannou because he knows the risk of it, and if you're going to get slapped and get embarrassed, which very possibly could happen, at least you want to come out with a lot of money on it. And there's no fans. Who knows how good the pay-per-view would do, because at best they can make that an interim heavyweight title fight at best. And
yeah, as I say, there's no title on the line.
Yeah, and who knows if who knows what happens with the rest of the heavyweight division, and who knows how long until fans come back. And you can't expect to get paid that much when there's no fans, and you
So do you
don't know like how good the pay-per-view is going to do. The first one did great. They did over 700,000 buys.
But that's also because sports were gone for 2 months too. So
Well, yeah, and it's because people are saying, "Oh my God, it's Justin Gaethje, Tony Ferguson," and
no,
look at
that's
the
it.
rest and look at the rest of this card: Jeremy Stevens, Calvin Kattar, all those guys.
Ngannou.
Yeah, Ngannou, Cejudo, Cruz. It was a great card.
So you're saying with the whole money situation with no fans, do you expect McGregor to be out longer then too? Because McGregor relies on the fans and the
I
Irish
think
crowd.
if they were gonna have Connor fight with no fans, you do Connor Nate 3 or Connor Masvidal on Fight Island, and make it just advertise it like crazy. Connor Fight Island, just market it like crazy, and I bet you it does well over 1 million buys, depending on the rest of the card.
I honestly for a marketing experience thing. Once fans are allowed to come back, I would put McGregor on that card.
Oh, absolutely.
Or you know what I mean? Just because that's gonna bring in a lot of people and oh crap, McGregor's back. And
I said it a while ago. If they could make it work, if the lightweight division plays out, if they did their first show back at the Raiders' new stadium, Jones versus Adesanya and Connor versus whoever is the lightweight champion at Raiders Stadium as the first place, where at the first event where fans are back, sells out maybe 2 million buys, probably more, maybe the record. It's huge. They do Jones Adesanya, Connor Khabib, or Connor Gaethje, whoever holds the title. That's huge. Or even Connor Usman, Connor Masvidal for the welterweight title, whoever holds it by then. It's it could be interesting.
mm-hmm.
But yeah, we'll
Colby
just have to
Covington.
see how it all plays out. Kobe, I saw an interview with him too.
Yeah, I was about to say I saw that on Twitter today. I was like, oh god, he's
Yeah.
what do you say? He wants to fight Usman and Masvidal on the same night or something like that.
Yeah, no, that's not going to happen. But
He's funny, man. I just think he's funny.
yeah, it's just I don't know. The Usman fight was interesting. I've watched it so many times, and everything that Kobe said about it is true. Like with the kick and the eye poke and everything. Like the kick was to his liver, and then Usman grabbed his cup and said, "Oh, he kicked me low," and the poke was to one eye, and then Usman was on the corner with the doctor holding the other eye. It's weird,
Yeah.
but. And I thought, like with the judges, how the judges were scoring that, it was all over the place. But if Kobe didn't, well, whether he did or didn't have a broken jaw, who knows? But if he wasn't in that condition, like where he got dropped in the 5th round, he easily could have won that fight by decision. I honestly think they would have given it to him. So it's if they should fight again eventually.
Didn't they post the judges' scorecards and one of them weren't they leaning towards Covington?
Well, one had it 3-1 going into the 5th, one had it 2-2, and the other one had it, I think, 3-1 Usman. So it was going to depend on the one card that was 2-2.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's another thing with the judges. It was all over the place. But I definitely like the 3-1 was a little bit controversial, like whether Colby won all 3 of those rounds. But I could see 2-2, and then Colby was doing good in that 5th round. Like, yeah, he got dropped, but if his jaw wasn't in the shape that it was, or if he wasn't, whatever happened with him,
yeah,
who knows? Because when your jaw's broken, you're gonna go down. Especially getting hit by a guy like Usman, you're gonna go down.
I really truly believe his jaw did break.
Yeah, he said it didn't in the interview, but he's obviously gonna say that so that Usman doesn't get that satisfaction, like, oh yeah, I broke his jaw, like why are you talking, stuff like that. But I don't know. But There's a few good fights that have been announced coming up. Chukagian, Shevchenko. I think Shevchenko shows out in that one, and Chukagian falls down. I thought she lost to Joanne Calderwood a long time ago. Benavidez, Figueiredo. That's if Figueiredo makes weight, that could be. I almost see it going the same way. I think Figueiredo beats him again. We got Hooper, Caceres. That'll be
Love Hooper.
either the end of Caceres or a wake up call for Hooper. Like, yeah, you're not there yet.
He's super young, man. But I love his Twitter. Like, I follow a lot of fighters on Twitter. That's probably one of my favorite Twitter accounts.
Yeah,
His.
Caceres is another one though. He's no joke, but
I love Bruce Leroy though. So.
yeah, if Hooper beats him, I think that's kind of it for Caceres.
Mm-hmm.
Then Rebus Van Zant, probably on Fight Island. I mean,
I
you
honestly.
could market the hell out of Van Zant versus Rachel Ostovich on Fight Island. Like, good Lord, what a fight that would be. And just, if you marketed them, like, on the beach and stuff, oh, my God. I would buy a pay-per-view just for that. What? No, but, yeah, that Rebus is no, like, especially with Van Zant with her arm, Rebus she's going to attack it. And she's, I don't know how that'll go. I mean, hopefully Paige fights without breaking her arm again. But then we got Neil Magny, Rocco Martin. That'll be a good one too. I don't see
I love Neil Magny, man.
Yeah, I don't see Rocco winning that fight, but I don't know. I hope Magny gets back on, gets back up there and starts doing work again.
I personally think he just destroyed Lee in his last fight.
Yeah, that was going to be interesting. Like, after the Ponzinibbio fight, I didn't really know how he was going to be, and Lee's no joke. He's a good fighter, but yeah, that was impressive for Magny. Emmett versus Burgos. Oh my God, if someone doesn't go to sleep in this fight. Oh, that's such. I've wanted to see that fight for so long. Like, every time I see Burgos fight or every time I see Emmett fight, I'm like, oh my God, put these guys together. Like, somebody has to go to sleep in that fight. Then Roxanne Modafferi, Lauren Murphy. I think Roxanne takes it. I don't see Lauren being much of a problem in that one.
Woodley and Burns
next weekend. That's going to show what's up with Gilbert Burns for sure.
Woodley hasn't fought since what? Usman?
Since Usman.
And he's 39 years old too, isn't he?
He's up there, and then Burns is coming up. He's getting off that big win against Maya not that long ago, and but yeah, that's going to show what's up with Burns. If he can beat Woodley, that's huge. That puts him right up there with the conversation. And you could do Burns Covington, or because it's I don't see how you don't give Masvidal a huge fight next. If it's not a title fight, it's probably Conor.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm praying it's Nick. But I want to see Nick versus Masvidal so bad.
I do too, because I love Nick Diaz, man.
Yeah,
that's my favorite fighter of all time.
And then Sugar Show is back already. Thank God.
Bro, probably my favorite fighter right now. He's insane, man.
Eddie Wineland, though, he's gonna come out.
Eddie Wineland is no joke, dude. This is gonna be a big fight.
He's gonna put it on Sean for sure. I've seen Wineland fight live. Like, I've been there multiple times when Wineland's fought. He's never out of a fight.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it'll look like he's gonna go, like he's gonna start to fade, and then boom, he catches somebody with something, or
he
gets like a second wind and just destroys dudes. But then again, it could just be another just smoke show by Sean O'Malley. It could just be another thing like, yeah, get this guy out of here. But I don't know. There's a lot of good fights coming up, and hopefully we see more. Who knows what's going to happen with Jones? He tweeted, I think he said, Jan, you're next.
I wouldn't be mad to watch that fight though either.
I wouldn't either. I don't see Blachowicz beating him, but
I do think Reyes deserves another title shot though.
I want to see Reyes versus Santos just to kind of see what's up. Like,
I said that a couple times with and with this whole thing.
Yeah, just I want Santos to come back and kind of show, and then Rumble's kind of waiting back there, like kind of in the shadows, like yeah, he's coming.
Rumble, I could. He is huge, dude.
He's getting skinny though. Like it's
Yeah.
almost
Oh, I
looking
know.
like he wants to fight at 205. But
And
then
that
again, Ngannou wants to fight. Rumble and Ngannou, what's up?
you
Like,
gotta be any fighter fans dream, dude.
oh my god, that would be such a good fight. It wouldn't I would put a lot of money that fight doesn't go past 20 seconds.
Place a bet here. It's longer than a minute.
Double knockout, I will be satisfied. Oh, but
Who landed first? Who fell down first?
I don't think it's kind of a WWE thing. but um but yeah, that's I think Rumble gives Jones problems if they fight unless Jones takes him down, then Rumble kind of folds when if Jones gets his back or gets a submission, that might be it. But
Well, I think Jones is gonna do that.
yeah, Jones is planning
Uh,
the same thing with Israel, and he'd do the same thing with Ngannou if he could. But you never
I
know.
mean, he took DC down. Like Jones is.
That threat isn't really there though, to the point where if John shoots a single leg and doesn't get it right away, and Ngannou hammer fists him once, you're going to sleep.
I mean, he took Reyes down, but Reyes got right back up.
Yeah,
But Reyes had a lot of momentum in that fight, and he wasn't scared. Like,
yeah. It's just who knows. There's a lot of divisions that are kind of questionable. I've been seeing Costa on Twitter a lot, like talking about Adesanya. Who knows who he's going to fight? Who knows who Usman's going to fight? Since Dana said Masvidal isn't, like they're working on something else for Masvidal. I hope
do you think
Khabib's.
Usman's still hurt?
I don't think so. I think it's either money or just complications with who he's fighting. Because they
No.
might have been working on Usman Masvidal, and then they texted Usman like, "Oh, hey, Connor's kind of interested," and then Masvidal's like, "Oh, the money." But it's every division. Khabib is dealing with his dad.
Yeah, I saw he's
Back in
got the
the coma. Yeah, he's got corona. He's back in the coma with it, and but Volkanovski Holloway hopefully on Fight Island at some point. That would be cool.
I love
Cejudo,
Boss. I love him.
who knows? But TJ's coming back soon. I Cejudo said he would never fight TJ again, but I don't know. But we got Benavidez, Figueiredo, Amanda's fighting Felicia Spencer in a couple weeks.
I think it's gonna be a dominant performance by Amanda.
And then Amanda's 35 champ too. And then Shevchenko is fighting Calderwood at some point. That should be a great fight too. And then you got Wei Lee. I wouldn't mind seeing Joanna again at all. I
I
think
know, man. That was a great fight.
there's good competition out there. Tatiana Suarez is still out there. Rose is still out there. But I don't know. But especially with all this rest that UFC fighters are getting, let's just pump them out. Keep it going.
Yeah.
It's like Sean O'Malley just fought a couple weeks ago. Boom, he's right back.
I'm fine with that. A sugar show.
Oh, I can't wait. Only one more week till we're back. We're back in it. Should have been this weekend. Should have been tomorrow. But you know,
I have to work tomorrow night, so I'm kind of glad I wasn't tomorrow because I would have probably missed the fights, man.
yeah. Hopefully they build up the card some more. I've been seeing some more fights come out on it. They're gonna stock it up, and then hopefully we get another good night of fights like Saturday was, and the last two before that were. All right, let's wrap it up. So that just about wraps things up for us here today. Be sure to follow us on social media at NN Experience. for the latest news and sports and updates on our next show. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time right here on the Nick and Nolan Experience.